We're live. We are live. All right, before we get started with our guest, I want to remind everybody that we do these every Wednesday, and we got all kinds of replays. What do we count last time? We've been doing these since last winter, Johnny. We got over 30 so far.
Something like that.
Our weekly photo buzz. And before I introduce Nathan Grant, I want to just get into some technical stuff because we were talking about this offline. I just thought it would be of interest for both Nathan, because we had Nathan on 3 years ago, 2018, and he did not have a webcam. Now he's got a webcam. And we started talking about webcam. And he was quite impressed with John's clarity. I have a 12-year-old Logitech webcam, and I've heard from many people complain that the quality of webcams is pretty sucky. However, John, I'm going to let you explain what you're doing, but I haven't done this, but I've tested it, and we've actually run a few webcams or photo buzzes where I've used my Sony camera. Now, John told me all I needed to do was go buy an adapter, which I did. It's an HDMI converter, and it works really, really well. However, the batteries on the Sony only last about 40 minutes, so I can't get a endless amount of power. However, when I fire this sucker up with my G Master 16-35 lens, man, do I look good. So that's coming, but I have to get the other adapter, right, John? The one that gives me power. It's an adapter you get on Amazon. I haven't ordered it yet, but it's coming. So that way I don't have to use my battery. I think it plugs into the battery compartment, and it'll allow me to have ongoing power. What's that thing called, John?
I don't know. It's some sort of a power adapter you can buy for your camera. It's just a
power adapter. Yeah, they're like $30.
Yeah, it's like a dummy battery basically. It looks like a dummy battery. It sticks in. It's got a cord, comes out, and then you
plug it in the wall. All right. So before we get into Nathan, though, John, what are you using?
I'm using an old Canon video camera. It's I think it came out around 2007. And it does 1080p. That's all we need for this. And
you bought it cheap, right?
I got it from a guy for $75 last year during the pandemic. He was selling it, and I said, "Would you take $75?" And then my wife went online, and for about $100 and something, we bought a couple extra batteries for it because the ones that came with it would last like 20 minutes and they were dead. These things I can get like over 2 hours with, and I got. So
you had to get that HDMI converter too, right?
No, oh yeah, the HDMI converter, yeah. Like my camera right now, when I'm not using this battery though, it came with a battery charger that plugs into the camera, so I can actually just plug the camera right in anyways. But then I had to get what's called a capture card. It's called.
Nice.
It's about yay big, thin. You get them on Amazon, and you plug it into your HDMI, and then it comes out into your camera, and you can.
And that's why you look so good. So Nathan, there you go. Now you know you're all up to snuff on the world.
I'm gonna go to B&H and buy a 100 megapixel Hasselblad now to hook up as a webcam.
Just for your webcam.
Yeah, I'm gonna
He's the winner.
Like even the kicker I got going on over here, eh?
That's really nice. Nice.
And it's just, that's all it is. Just a nice little LED light. Gotta look good.
Exactly.
So we had Nathan on. I had Nathan on 2018, and I like to go back to people who I've used before, and I've said this before. I've said it a million times. I say it in my emails all the time. I like to talk to real photographers, typically people with spouses and families and communities, and they're running their photography businesses day to day, toe to toe, belly to belly with real clients, and that way you get the real deal. I mean, I like talking to, you ever been to a seminar or convention and you have those conversations during supper and lunch or breakfast over coffee break, and you have the best conversations ever. That's kind of like what this is all about. So Nathan, since we last talked to you, can you sort of give us a bit of a summary? I think I might have asked you this before. In a really just a quick synopsis, tell me how long you've been into photography, and maybe sort of anything new and exciting and all that.
Into photography or professionally, or both?
No, let's go both. Absolutely.
Photography about 17 years. Full-time income for it about 15, something like that.
Nice.
15. Oh wait. 16. Sorry, 16.
Who's counting, eh?
I'm getting old. Old.
You only look like you're 20. You look like you're 26.
Oh, thank you. I'm 37.
Nice. Oh, you're still a baby.
As far as since we spoke last, I've been pushing more towards doing lots of business headshots, kind of trying to get more of those. So I made a separate website. You guys can pull it up probably on here if you want to see it. I think that's what I was in the process of doing when I spoke to you last, was creating a business website that would give me more online presence and would hopefully, drum up more business. And it has done that. It took about a year for it to gain traction, I think.
Is that the TNG one?
This would be tngheadshots.com.
Okay.
So I have a main website, I have a senior website, and I have a headshot website.
Nice.
So anyway, so that has been very good for me, and it keeps getting better and better. And that's kind of, I think, where I fill in those scary times. Like here, July is really dead because everyone leaves the heat. They go on vacation or they just want nothing. Everyone wants photos outside most of the time.
Right.
People, aren't really thinking too much about going and having portraits taken this summer. So it's just not really on their minds. So July, business headshots pick up, January as well. And so I try to kind of fill the void in with those. So, and also that ended up being pretty good for me during 2020 when things were all shut down. I really had to rely on reaching out to old clients. And so past clientele were kind of what saved me last year, I think. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thanks. Very, very good. But let's just quickly touch on lockdowns and that, Mammy, because we're all, and most of us have gone through that and continue to go through that to some degree or other, especially last year. And you reached out to past clients, obviously a smart move. And were you pushing families and or commercial or just headshots or anything?
Anything I could, but families were dead last year. In all honesty, completely dried up last year. It was really scary. Yeah. But now once January 1st hit, more people were calling about things like that. They were just kind of sick of the whole thing here. But Vegas was hit pretty hard with the shutdowns. Like the whole strip was completely shut down. Like all the buildings were completely locked up. And we drove on the strip and it was like a ghost town down there, which was just like, it was nuts, man. I was like, I never knew this place could get shut down. It's nuts, man. Yeah. So like no one's traveling to our town and we're very, very, our economy is so based on tourism and conventions, and all conventions completely gone. All the casinos shut down, and so lots of people out of work here. So people were pretty scared. So people were really tight with their money. So I had reached out mostly to past clients I have for commercial headshots and just say, hey, I reach out to them. So I build relationships with whoever schedules with me. So it might be a marketer, it might be an office assistant. And I just reach out to them. I call them or I email them and say, hey, do you have any work for me to do this week? You mentioned something a month ago about hiring a few new employees. So are you free on Friday? Then they usually go, oh, yeah, we were just thinking about you. So
Cool. That must have been, how long was Las Vegas locked down for?
I want to say about 2.5 months or so is how long like everything was shut down. So
yeah, then they started to open up. Were they locked down again? Like you're talking last spring, right? 2020.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
the big lockdown.
Yeah, there aren't any restrictions right now on how many people can enter a building and things like that. But we have mask mandates still and things like that. But
are things coming back? I've been to Las Vegas a whole bunch of times, and it always got busier and busier and busier. I was like, man, don't drive down the strip. It's going to take you forever because it was always bumper to bumper. It got to that point.
Well, we locals don't go to the strip much. It's unless we're going to go see a show. It's kind of like the equivalent of someone in New York City who's never been to the Statue of Liberty. Yeah, they're like, why do you want to go down there? There's too many people. No, it does seem like it's picked up more. Like more people are traveling here, and they just opened up the Raiders Stadium for the football team. So that's big news. So that's going to draw more people in, and they're still building a lot and things like that. So, but it's doing much better. But I think we have like CES. I think is our biggest convention in town. I think that's returning in.
What's that?
It's the technology convention, like the biggest one, where they showcase all kinds of new TVs, robots, and computers, and all kinds of things.
So it's looking.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
So I was it's looking good. Things are coming back slowly, but coming back.
Yes. I think people don't want to put up with lack of work and things like that right now. So it is getting much better. How about for you guys? Were you guys shut down much?
Yeah,
Too
3
much.
months last year.
Canada's pretty strict, I've heard, aren't they?
Yeah, it's insane. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I've been open a whole 3.5 months since Christmas. So
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
It's
I
it's crazy.
got off topic. My apologies.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And again, it's depending where you're from, obviously, but to some degree or other, everybody can relate to it, and it's not easy. Fortunately, and I believe John experiences the same thing, that when we are allowed to open up, things are pretty good. I mean,
yeah, I've been busy for the last month and a half since we opened back up again. So
yeah,
Oh, good.
Same here.
Photographing what exactly?
I'm sorry.
Oh, photographing what?
I do. I'm just like you. I do like. I just don't do weddings. I don't do newborns, and I don't do boudoir. But I do a lot of corporate, so headshots, a lot of corporate stuff on location or here in the studio. A lot of headshot. Peter Hurley type headshots is what I do a lot of.
Yeah.
And then we do a lot of some families. I think Rob does way more families than I do, and and a lot of passports. I actually started doing passport photos in here to bring some extra income. It doesn't bring a lot in, but I do about 5 to 10 passport pictures a day. 10 minutes and they're out the door. So
Hey, not bad. Do you retouch those or no? That's probably not.
nope.
You're probably not allowed to.
You're not allowed to. No, you're not allowed to.
Yeah. So just light them so they look nice and they're happy.
I just do a speed light above my camera. I just have it all set up. Do a speed light, one on the background. They don't want they want a mug shot basically.
Well, they'd rather go to you than for that as opposed to going like the post office.
Yeah.
And because that little blue backdrop or curtain or whatever they have over there. But well, that's great. I'm glad it's picking up for you. My gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do mostly pop-up weddings, and ferries, as well as families. And
Now, pop-up weddings, that's your term for like a small, like weekday kind of wedding?
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that
yeah,
kind of what you're
and
marketing as?
that's not a geographical thing, by the way. Probably started in the U.S., but in the larger centers. Very
You can
popular
do
with the
3 to 5 a day.
Yeah, very popular with the millennials, where they started getting onto this. So like New York, Las Vegas, Toronto, Vancouver, on Canada was where it sort of caught on. Somebody would go in and rent out a really nice venue and schedule 4 to 5 to 6 weddings a day. So you come in, you have maximum 25 people, guests, legal wedding, a couple of pictures, and you're out. They can maybe do a champagne toast or whatever. And it's sort of like Las Vegas, Elvis Chapel
drive-through type stuff.
Same
Pretty
concept.
much.
So it's just basically a ceremony, a quick toast, and they're out. So 45 minutes to an hour?
And a photo shoot, yeah. Well, we scheduled them 3 hours apart. The first time we did a pop-up wedding event, we did 5 in one day, every 2 hours. Wow, we didn't know what we were doing, but
That's tiring.
crazy. But
Killing yourself on that one.
it was a huge success. So we decided to do 4 in one day and 3 hours apart. And
is that the sweet spot for you?
Yeah. So for us so far, we're looking at different options, and it's a new market. Like we got into this just before COVID hit the year before, and my wife became a legal wedding officiant. So I being a photographer, her being that.
That's perfect.
We work together. We bring both our strengths and skills to it. It's an area that I think is going to be more and more relevant and worth looking into. And if you ever decide to get into it, pick my brains. We've got a lot of experience.
That's cool. I will. Thank you.
If you and your wife wanted to do that, or if you wanted to team up with a wedding officiant, it's.
You should be the officiant and the photographer, is what you should do.
I try to.
As he's got the book in his hand, bearing them. He's got the camera in the other hand.
You have the best perspective. Like no one has what you're seeing.
Yeah.
I now pronounce you man and wife. Pose for a photo.
When we first got into it, my wife and I had a big struggle with. I wanted to be the officiant because I'm very outgoing. She's very much not a people person.
Really?
And she insisted on her doing it, and she did. And actually, that was the best way to go. So she's
That's
really
cool.
good at it. And so it's an amazing thing. And so we do a lot of those now. And talk about a perfect thing tied in with COVID. I mean, we got a lot of limitations. I don't know if in Las Vegas you have a lot of size limitations, like halls here are only allowed to be 30% capacity. And for a while there, it was you can have like up to 5 people or up to 20, 30 people in if you're having a venue event. And so a lot of people automatically went to smaller weddings because of that. And it was like, ta-da, that's our specialty. So good timing. So, but anyways,
for you then in some ways, but yeah, we have restrictions, or we did have restrictions on how many people could enter a building and how many could be at an event, but all those have been lifted, thank goodness. But all right, but there's talk of them coming back, I think. But
okay, that's my next question. Do you think they're coming back?
Who's to say? I think they want to bring them back, but I think they also know that people are really frustrated with the whole thing, so they're hesitant to do that. I know there's always my wife is a speech pathologist, and so she works in schools, and so there's always rumors from the staff saying they're going to shut us all down and have the kids all go online again and have to do school at home. And that made everyone so mad last year because it was such a pain in the butt.
Yeah, my daughter hated it.
Awful. It was awful for the parents too. We're like, how the heck do we get any work done with kids around? Where's my babysitter? Yeah. So there's always people spreading rumors like that. But I think the administrators are aware that that's probably not a good idea because that's going to make a lot of people mad. So they're just kind of pushing vaccination and things like that right now. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I don't know the answers to these and many other questions, Rob.
Yeah, it's all good. All good.
And how did it affect your commercial work too, like your headshots and things?
Shutdowns, you mean?
Yeah.
Like everything just froze for quite some time. And so, they're saying stay in your house unless it's going to go buy non-existent toilet paper, that kind of stuff. But eventually it just slowly kind of creeped back in once people started going back to work. I do a lot like headshots for, let's say there's a healthcare company in town that owns several hospitals, for instance. A lot of them, hadn't seen, I went and photographed their marketing team. And that was the first time in something like 6 months they'd all been in the same building together. And so they'd all been doing work from home if they could. And so they thought like, I don't have to come to work. So they're actually downsizing their main headquarters to something smaller because so many people can work from home. And I've heard similar things from law offices here in town that, that have, 50 plus lawyers that are employed there. So it just depends. So we'll see how it all ends up being. But either way, they still need a headshot. And so I can still accommodate at some point. So
your headshots are really nice. When John showed up the screen, can I ask you a technical question on that? Maybe John, you can.
Oh, sure. Sure. Go ahead.
By the way, are you with the headshot crew, the Peter Hurley gig?
I'm not. No, I have his book, but that's about all I know about Peter Hurley. I think I've heard him a few times, but no, I'm not super familiar with the Headshot Crew. What is that exactly?
It's his online coaching is very, very popular. It's mostly to do with headshots, and he talks about different lighting. And I signed up for it after we had him on here about 6 weeks ago, and it's really quite good. And it's an area where I'm like, okay, even though I'm 63 years old, I can learn. This is an area that a large part of it has to do not with just with lighting, but with rapport, the energy that goes on between you and the client. So for that alone, it's well worth looking into. And it's
you're also you're dealing with subjects that are not like high school seniors that they don't like most of the time seeing themselves in photographs, and they're dreading the experience. Even from like some people 25 and older, but usually more like in the mid 30s and up, especially in the 40s and up, they start getting like really nervous, and they say, just you choose the photo, you choose it. And I say, okay. And then they go, let me choose. Like they're so like conflicted about it. So yes, so building rapport, that's important, like making people comfortable.
So it's not just me. I've noticed this, and I've been doing this since like the 1980s, and I've noticed, or I'm delusional, I've noticed that people, adults in particular, is what I'm talking about, adults, they are way more nervous and tense and stressed out about having a headshot done than ever before. And I kind of blame social media and whatever else is going on in the world. Yeah. There's some cultural shifts there. And it seems to me that that's kind of what you just touched on just now, no?
I don't know if it's social media or just people just don't like to see themselves a little bit older, perhaps. I don't know. I like to see photos of myself younger now as well, even though I still look quite babyish in my old age.
Old age.
But just trying, it's I think what I do is I'm quite goofy. I'm quite a bit of a clown with people, and I'm very self-deprecating at times. And so that kind of, my technique is, try my best to just talk and get their minds off of themselves and think more about me. So that's more how I like to do it. But how do you like to do it?
Pretty much the same way, but I'm not. Don't change the subject on me now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, but I know what he's talking about, though, because I even had that yesterday. I had a guy come in. He called me up the other day. He's getting back into real estate. He used to do it, and he needed new headshots. And he came in yesterday. Awesome session. And afterwards, we narrowed it down to like 7 shots, but he wanted to get his wife to input on it. So I said, okay. So we did a online gallery, low res, my watermark, everything. And by that night, he said, yeah, it was unanimous. We want these two. But he was the same. He's like, I can't decide. Like, first his thing was, this is so uncomfortable for me because I hate having my picture taken.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that came when he walked into here. Luckily, he knew me through hockey because I shoot minor hockey here too, and he knew me through there, so it was more comfortable. But I find that with the adults too, like Rob was saying, they're very uncomfortable to have their photo taken, and
it's
very hard on themselves.
It's a trend that I've noticed, and I mean, as professionals, we can look at that and go, okay, that's a legitimate thing. What do we need to do? And Nathan, you just mentioned that you're fun, you talk, which I think is really important, keeps their mind off it. Self-deprecating humor is important too. And I highly recommend you check out even some of the free videos. Go sign up for the 7-day free gig with Hurley. You're going to love it because, man, you're going to look at that and go, oh, I never thought of that. Ooh. Because I think you're already 80% in. Obviously, you're doing a lot of stuff right. But the technical question, but the technical question I wanted to ask you, you seem to use very consistent lighting, one main kicker. Hurley gets into like there's all these different types of lighting, and a lot of it is like that.
He has like that triangle look. He shoots it like a ring light, right? That's kind of I've seen a lot of that
triangle or two
or parallel, as he calls it.
Parallel, and he's not saying one is better than the other. And then there's the one light that you do. So and to him, that's more like the masculine lighting. But I'm like, nah, that works for women too. And I really kind of like that. That's what I've been doing most of my.
I've actually been thinking to myself, I need to light women more flat. And I just never get around to do it because it's just so ingrained to have directional quality, the lighting. Like I should be doing much more clamshell, I think. But I keep things pretty consistent. I like to, with let's say Peter Hurley with like the triangle of light in the eyes, the catch lights there, like that's like obviously he's recognizable for that. It's like lots of people will photograph with a ring light, but very few people would do like the triangle. So it's like that's one little special touch that he can do that sets himself apart. And so I just look at the quality of other photographers around town and say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because then I'll blend in with them too much.
Right.
And so I have my, I keep things pretty simple and just, it's nothing, it's not rocket science, obviously, with, adding a kicker or adding a light to a background, things like that. But just keeping it nice looking, I guess. So.
And it works.
Because I noticed on yours, there's some of them you could see the little ring light in the eyes there. I noticed on some of yours, but also
one or two,
the one, it looks like you're using either a really large octabox or something because there's a big roundish softbox kind of catch light in the eye there. Is it a large one or? I want to get in and get out when I do these photos. So like oftentimes all I need is one photo. They're like, we just have a new lawyer. Just boom, we need that one shot for the website and then be out of here. And he's got to get to court in 30 minutes. You got to be fast, So I'm like, okay. So my setup is very umbrella based. So I have a large. I think it's about 60 or something.
It's about a 60-inch umbrella from Paul Buff, with a diffusion panel over it. That's usually my key light. And then the kicker light is just a smaller, about 40-inch umbrella with diffusion panel over it.
Nice.
And then that's. Just make sure that's at a lower setting so that you have a nice, rim light on the side that isn't too distracting. But
actually, Rob and I both have the same umbrella, but we have the 86-inch one, the big honking one.
Called a PLM.
The bigger the better in terms, for people that aren't teenagers. It's like people get more worried about wrinkles and things. So that kind of softens things up a lot more. But I can show you. Let's see here. We can't share my screen, can we?
Yep.
Let's see here. I think I posted on Fuzzy Dunkel's Heavy Light Facebook page just a day or two ago. See, to me, doing everything on location, I like to just be portable and be quick. And so I'd love to photograph with a big, like 80+ inch umbrella, but oftentimes it won't fit in the room I'm in. And so you can see in this shot, let's see here.
Hit share screen down at the bottom there.
Yeah.
Oh, let me come back to the tab here. Oh, share. What do you know?
What do you know? There we go.
And then you might have to go to either to Window or Chrome tab if you're on PC.
Let's see, stream. I'll say the entire screen. There we go.
It might do that funky thing if it does. We'll see.
I think it's sharing now.
No, I see it. But it's going to be... There we go.
There it is. We're in.
Okay, so you can see my screen. So I'm not on the tab. I can't see you guys. So this is...
I saw that.
I was at a dentist's office just a few days ago. We were from about 8 or 9 team members there. And so I didn't want to set up a background. I wanted to use their environment. So I found it's a pediatric dentist, so they have lots of fun, goofy paintings on the wall. So here are the results. Just you can see the catch light there, that big umbrella. I put a reflector underneath for fill, kind of that clamshell look. And then I put a light. I have a big reflector also for fill off to the right, camera right. And then the kicker is kind of way against the building there, or against the wall, pardon me. Yeah. But then it's a really cramped space. So I took a picture with my phone here of the setup here.
Right.
So,
it works.
So here's the big umbrella. The panel is getting kind of loose. I need to take that off and replace it with something nicer. I got the kicker over here. And so these are all umbrellas, so they pop up really quick and just using speed lights, basically. So that's it.
That's a stand-up reflector off to the right-ish, the one that's sort of blocking your kicker.
Yes. So it has it's about 6 feet tall or so.
Yeah.
It's kind of a soft silver. I think it was by Larson, or Sweet Light, one of those. So it just folds up like an umbrella when I'm done. And then
nice.
I like that versus just setting up a reflector like this one here that I have on the arm, like for the clamshell, because it has its own freestanding arm. So it's fewer stands for me to set up. So but that's a pretty typical setup where I'm cramped in a cramped space. I was right against the wall, about to fall over on a chair.
Yeah.
And then
that other one in the back there, is that for the background or that one?
Yeah, this you can see my cursor, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this one here I used, I should have done this a little bit better. This one I was trying to bounce off of the corner here to kind of get like a nice gradient of light kind of coming back towards their face. But I end up just kind of like putting a spot on, I don't know, that might be the Cape Verde Islands. I don't know. But I wish I had aimed it more towards behind her head so that her face would pop out a little bit more. But it's subtle enough; it doesn't bother me too bad. But
looks great.
Yeah.
So
looks pretty good.
So an 80+ inch umbrella would be really fun. But
little big.
usually too big for where I'm at.
So what lens did you use for that shot?
That was my 70-200 2.8 LIS version 3 lens. So I love that lens. That one's really fun. So I think it was 2.8, 3.2, something like that.
Pretty wide open at about 70-ish.
I can find out for you here in 1 second. I believe
my 7200 is my favorite lens too. My 7200.
Oh, it's great. I love being able to compress backgrounds, and that one was at, I'll know for you in just a second. That was 88 millimeters is what that was at. So.
Cool. I don't have a 70-200 because I'm Sony, but they do have a new 70-200 G Master, which is on my list. I have 2 prime lenses that I use, which is like, I'm like, God, this is such a pain. That 70-200 would be so nice to just, get rid of the 2 primes and just put it all in.
Go Canon.
I use it so much that I feel that perhaps I'm getting a little stale with my work. So I might buy, in the future, I'd like to get maybe an 85 1.4, 1.2, something similar to that, just so I have a little more variety. But I'd probably go with more like a 50 though, just so that because 85 is too too standard and looks just like what I'm doing most of the time.
Yeah, my argument against that is, and I used to have an 85, and then way back, we're talking like almost 20 years ago, and I had the 70-200, and for years and years that's what I shot until I switched to Sony. But the 70-200 has the 80 or 85 already on that range, so why would you want to have a 85? Is it 80 or 85? It's 85, right?
It depends on for Canada being 85. So
So back then when I realized that, I sold my 85. I says, well, screw that. I don't need this anymore.
yeah. But I guess
back
the ability
then
to
it was
open
supposed
up
to be
more.
sharper too, because back then the primes were always sharper than the zooms, but now the new 7200s are pretty sharp. So I mean, I'm fine with it. Now, unless you want that 1.2, 1.4 that you can't do at the 7200. So,
But
Exactly.
the G Master Sony is minimum $4,000, and so I got to weave that into my conversation.
Yeah,
I could put that into a new Canon R5.
So Nathan, thanks for sharing that. I want to ask you about marketing. You had kind of mentioned it prior too. What's new and exciting in the world of marketing? You said you had a few ideas you wanted to share with us.
Well, this is where it would be fun to pick your guys' brains. So I have a few opportunities right now that I'm working on. I want to do a lot more family portraits this year this season than last, because last season was quite pathetic. I guess I can take the blame for that, but at the same time, it's easy to say it was COVID's fault, but I'll still say it was my fault. So first, a client of mine owns a golf course, and so they asked me to photograph an event and gave them my hourly rate. It was more than they wanted to spend for their little birthday party, and so I said, "How much were you willing to spend or wanting to spend?" Then they said, "Well, we'll spend this much." And I said, "Okay, let's go with that. But how about I display a portrait there in the clubhouse?" And they agreed to it. So I'm going there on Friday to display a large framed wall portrait on canvas. And then obviously have some lift cards out for them to take. But I wanted to ask you guys what your thoughts are on, having like a contest of some kind to kind of get people to come over to the portrait more so than just a lift card. What are your thoughts on that? Have you had any experience with that?
Yeah, I do. I've had lots, and that's called affiliation marketing, where you team up with an organization, whatever they're into, but they are marketing to the demographics that you're interested in. This is important. People who golf tend to they have money and families, and they tend to have more disposable cash. So that's an amazing opportunity. What I would do is I would obviously, them pretty good.
Yes, I've photographed a few of their sons in the past. So
yeah. So if you're in tight with them and they trust you, this is really important. A lot of people ask, how do I get, like we do something with the Montessori school locally, and some people will say, how would I get into Montessori? Well, it's not like just do this, this, and that. You got to really build a rapport. So if you have a relationship with these people, this is important. You got to do that. So you've got that going for you. I would personally, I'm not saying exactly what I would do, but what I would really, really try hard to do and pursue is where I can have direct access to their list of, is it a club where they have memberships? Obviously it would
yes,
be, right?
yes.
So it'd be really cool if they said, yeah, give us something, or tie it in with an external fundraiser that they are affiliated with themselves. Like maybe they help a hospital or something. Say, okay, I'm going to donate a family photo shoot through the golf course, and I'm going to create the piece, and you guys are going to mail it to them and get it in their hands.
I had an idea to have to say, I want this display up soon, so I'm just bringing a portrait I already have for display. But I was thinking what might work also is if I photographed, like I said, let me photograph one of your top members of your course to display there, and it'd be like a member spotlight section in the clubhouse, something along those lines. But
that's a good idea. That's kind of what Robert Bray did, didn't he, John?
I think so.
When he got into headshots, he said, "Yeah, I went and I contacted 10 people in our city, and I gave them a free photo shoot."
I remember him saying something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. He just wanted to get the thing going.
It was gutsy, but it worked for him. So
all they can do is say, the worst they can do is say, no, thank you.
Exactly.
I mean, you have to open your mouth to get what you want, right?
I'll see if I can find him here, but I'll show you what I've been doing lately while Rob talks to you.
Sure. Oh,
no, I think
John has to go to the bathroom.
family portraits I've noticed are much harder than the days gone by because of cell phones and whatnot. So
yes,
we're established in our city when people do want a family portrait, there's usually an event and a compelling reason to get one done. So it's nice to be able to be like, oh, we're the trusted source for that. They're not going to just use their cell phone, which most people do.
Yes.
But
exactly.
We do the thing with Montessori, and I can send you the samples that I've made up over the years, and it's a fundraiser. Okay, when you do a fundraiser, we charge, I think it's a low cost. It's like almost $40. We give the entire amount to the school. I don't think it's like, oh, you're going to give half, going to give $10. You got to be really generous. Otherwise, it comes across as a bit of a weasel clause. So there's that. And if you can sort of be really aggressive with that, they will come in. They'll all buy more. I mean, that's just the given. And assuming you do a good job. And we noticed too, we've experimented with this, and we've noticed we used to do it where the month of November, and we get better results when we say there's November Saturday, Sunday, November, and have a very specific date. You must book on these days to take advantage of this generous offer of ours. And we notice we get much better results when we do that.
That answers a question I've always had about like adding a sense of urgency. I like deadlines, having an expiration date for this little special here. But when it comes to like fundraisers, I've always struggled with that. Like, okay, how do I get them to book now as opposed to 6 months from now? So you just answered the question I've had.
One thing you can remember too, like I know here by law too, is if you give a gift certificate to somebody, if it's something you're donating where it's not been paid for, you can put an expiry date on it, no problem. So you can put it's got to be used within this amount of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if somebody's come in and bought a gift certificate to give to somebody as a gift, you can't put an expiry on it because it's been paid for.
Well, it's currency,
so I don't know if it's
right?
the same there. Yeah, it's currency. Now, what I've been doing is, like I do some charity golf tournaments here, but you could do this with charity things, anything that if you want to do it for your family portraits. Is I just went to the place I get my business cards from here. It's called, I use Vistaprint, which is very cheap, very easy. And I make 1,000 or 500, I think it was, business cards. But they're actually, I don't know if you can read it or not. It might not be out there, but these are actually $50 gift cards.
Right.
So,
Oh, cool.
right over on this side, it says $50, and at the bottom, just like a check. And it has stipulations on the back. It can't be used in combination with other promotions, discounts, coupons. I'm not responsible for lost or stolen cards. It can't be redeemable for cash, and it's not for resale. And you have to put those on there, because I actually had somebody get a gift certificate like this from me, or a gift card, and I guess they got it for free from some sort of a charitable event, and they didn't want to use it. Instead of just giving it to somebody else, they went on Facebook to those sales pages and tried to sell it to people. And I couldn't do anything about it because it had nothing on. I'm like, that's kind of cheesy.
No
So
cash value.
it says no. So it says not for resale, but also put not redeemable cash, because if it's a $50 gift card, they might come in and buy something from like a 5x7 for $30 or something and expect $20 change. And it's like, no, then you have a $20 credit.
Yeah,
Then it's not for, but these great, because I just did a charity golf tournament last weekend for the Renfrew County Real Estate Board here. And that's my clientele, all these real estate agents that are out there golfing, because I do all their headshots and things like that. So I gave about 5 to 10 of these to the organizers and said, use them as door prizes, because I know that they're going to come back because they need headshots every now and then. They're going to come and want to use this $50 towards their headshot. So it brings them to your studio. It gets them in the door. It gets them talking about you.
I found, is it the same for you when it comes to realtors' headshots? I find realtors, at least in our town, to be the most, for lack of a better word, cheap. Frugal? They do not want to spend money on a headshot. And so
Definitely.
to me, it's like they would be the ones to offer a discount too if you want lots of them, I find.
Yeah. But you can use these for family portraits too, because I'll give it to when I do I used to do a trade show here, which was for the whole town, and all the different vendors had their booths, and the public would just come and see all the vendors. And you could do these as gift prize. You could just hand them out to people. Hey, you need here, use this, and then they can use it towards your family portrait or something.
Those are great ideas.
Something to get them in the door.
Exactly, and I'm doing also with. I had the idea with. I always try to think, how can I take advantage of my current client base as best I can? How can I leverage that for myself, as opposed to just reaching out to people I know? I want them to reach out to people they know. And so, for example, another idea I had, Rob and John, was there's a big law firm in town. They have over 100 employees just in our town,
Nice.
or just attorneys in our town. They have paralegals as well, very, very large. That I've done lots of work for them. And so I wanted to reach out to them soon to give them something to make it look like it's a gift from the employer, from their own company to their
staff
partners and their colleagues. Yes.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, we've arranged for TNG Photography.
I think it's a great idea.
It's just I struggle with promotions, coming up with good promotions, coming up with something compelling to get people to want it right now. That's, I think, a big weakness of mine.
Yeah.
So But,
I think it's a great idea. I think I could be wrong, but there was a family and baby photographer in States, Sandy Putsch. I don't know if you know Sandy, but she used to, I think, do stuff like that. She would actually make a gift certificate that she would give to people to use for their clients and their clientele. Yep.
Those typically don't perform as well. I need to ask you about the law firm. Are you well known with the law firm?
Oh yeah, I've done work for them for about 5 or 6 years.
Okay. They're headshots.
Yes.
They have a lot of people working there.
Oh, they're multi-state too. I've even asked about going to their conventions and things. Which in our big, huge convention town, they're going to Washington for the next convention. I'm like, why?
We're in Vegas, man.
I'm pretty bold in saying, "Let me do that for you" to people when I'm speaking to them, because sometimes people will just say, "Yeah, just have you do it," because we know you and like you.
Yeah.
And again, the worst they can say is no. And sometimes, more often than not, the answer is no. Like, no, we'll find a guy up there to do it. But, it's worth a shot. But
the point, what I'm getting at is it's a really open door idea to be able to pitch to an organization like that, or you know, an office of engineers, architects, whatever, it doesn't matter, to go to them and say, hey, look, if you guys are interested, I will give you a proposal and a special quote to come in and photograph all of your staff and get it all done so that you look consistent. And get a law firm like that. Now, added to that, if you're after families, right? So, John, I wanted to make one sort of suggestion to your card.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a good-looking guy, but, man, I would add a picture of a family on there because they want to look at it and go, oh, look at how nice that is.
Well, it depends what you use them for, because, I use these for families. I use them for headshots. I use them for everything, so they're universal.
I'd add a sample because then you're marketing your actual work.
True.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, Rob. My apologies.
No, I'm almost done. I created these a couple of years ago. Complimentary family portrait session. I hand these out. You can see it's very elegant. It's embossed. I hand these out because I got so tired of all. It's a thing. You meet somebody, or we get a lot of people coming in for headshots, and often there's doctors and engineers and whatnot, and they come in, and I'm like you, Nathan. I'm talking to them, and one of my questions I always ask is, "Are you married? Do you have any kids?" I talk about their families. They love that. Then I said, "Have you ever?" I always drop this on them. I say, "Have you ever wanted a family portrait?" They always say yes, but you never see them again. So then I give them my card. I say, "Hey, look, because you're, we just met or whatever, and you have a family. Here, this is complimentary," and I give them that, and that way it gives them something to respond to.
Now, another thing you might want to think of too is like whether it's a $50 gift card or a complimentary family portrait session, but go to you probably have a lot of realtors in Vegas, of course, or in Nevada. Give them some to give to newer families that are buying homes in the area, because they're buying houses. People are coming in there. They're selling houses. These people say, as a thank you for using me as your realtor, here's a gift card towards Nathan Grant Photography to get your family portraits done.
You have all these empty walls you can cover now.
Exactly. And they're new to the area. They don't know who any other photographers in the area. Now they've got a free complimentary family shoot there. I've done that myself with some of the realtors here. I've given them these gift cards or a complimentary family portrait. Say, here, give this to any client that comes in. Thank them by giving them one of these.
So are you doing you're going after the golf course people. Are you doing anything else?
Oh yeah, there's a charity league here in town that's it's only women are allowed to be a part of it, and so that's usually our typical client are usually women. So I'd been asking them for quite some time, trying to contact them by phone, just to their local chapter. Very hard to get a hold of them. And then finally, several months ago, I donated to a fundraiser that they were having. They reply to those really quick when you're like, "Hey, I'll give you something to that you can offer for your online auction or your gala." Right. And so I just photographed that. So whoever purchased that, I just photographed her with her dog a few days ago. And I was talking about this organization that she's a part of and saying, how'd you get involved with it? Just asking questions. And then I asked, who would I talk to about getting more involved with them? And she said, "Oh, I'm on this committee. You can talk to me." So I'm like, bam, cool. That's exactly what I want to be doing. So for them, offering something to their organization as well, to their members, maybe a lot of moms with daughters in that organization could be like a mommy and me session later on, like moms with daughters, things like that. But family portraits, there's a dance studio also that I plan on doing a dancer of the month at I proposed the idea to them, like, hey, pay me to photograph your favorite dancer of the month, and we'll display them on one of those digital frames that you can upload wirelessly and put like a whole session on it, and it'll just cycle through a lot of photos as opposed to just one single portrait. So we'll put that in your lobby with a little write up about the dancer of the month.
Nice.
And then I can of course offer more stuff to them. And then also there's a clothing store as well. I photographed a family on Sunday morning where she was wearing a dress that was gifted to her by the store owner that she knows. And so I said, again, it's just about asking questions like, who do you know? And where'd you get your dress? Oh, you know the owner of that store, and they gave you this dress for the photo? Awesome. Give me her information right now. So it's like, now I say. So that's kind of what I got going on right now in terms of marketing for families. And then also reaching out some emails and some postcards I plan on sending out to past clientele as well. So
are you sending actual mailed postcards to past clients?
For a select few, for like under 100 people, just so for people that I know that have used me in the last 5 or 6 years, I kind of go with that, and and I usually word it something like, "Hey, I'd love to photograph you guys again, but if not, then please pass this card along to a friend or colleague," something like that.
I love that idea, because people think, "Oh, mail is dead, direct mail." Well, no, it's not.
I get tons of mail.
My brother's still a postman.
It's so unusual that it's actually going to help you and make it stand out. And if your client knows you, right, and they receive something from you, they're like, "Hey, look what Nathan just sent us." So,
well, look at the fast food restaurant mails you get in your mailbox all the time, or even the real estate agents, you get their stuff in their door knockers all the time. Yeah. It must be working, or they wouldn't keep doing it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I to your point about standing out, Rob. I like to try my best to, even with like postcards, like lift cards or business cards, to give them something they can interact with as best I can. So you were Josh and John over here about his business card, like put a family on that. So I don't have my wallet with me at the moment. It's in a different room, but I'd show you my card. So my card is a bifold card that comes up like this. So it has, I can put lots of samples on my business card and then offer on the back saying free clothing guide or something like that. But the lift cards I plan on putting out, like let's say at the golf course, because I'm not printing, thousands of them. I can print, just trifold 5x5s. Yeah. From, pardon me, from like White House Custom Color, Black River, one of those guys. And so that it gives them something they can fold and interact with. It's printed on different kinds of paper, just so I figure the longer they spend with my marketing, the more likely they'll be to hire me. If I could make it smell a certain way, I would do that.
Send them in.
Some Lysol to spray on it. It's been disinfected already.
You probably could. You'd probably just have to do it one by one. So I have another idea to consider, and I just want to mention that I find families, like I mentioned earlier, I find it harder to get. So we have to be way more aggressive and assertive. But Maria, one of our favorites, Maria Sampaio from North Carolina, she I should send you the replay, Nathan. I think you'll love this.
Oh, please do.
I've had so many of her, but there's one in particular where this is an idea you might want to consider, especially considering that you do all your stuff on location, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So she was out for one of her bike rides, and she noticed this spot, and it's like, oh, what a great spot for a family portrait. And then she took a picture of it with her phone, and then she went on Facebook, and she just made this promotion up. She said, I want to do a family here. Anybody interested? You got it. Then she made them jump through a few hoops. They had to fill out a form. They had to put out all the information regarding their family. And then she went through and she handpicked one. One person. But she had like 70 eager applicants. You probably could have eliminated 20 from there. No, these ones are useless. And she could have offered everybody a free shoot. But she's very, 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 very selective. Her sales are astronomical. Yeah. And she sold like $12,000. That's nothing for her.
No. Her dog day event was huge.
She's like, oh man.
Yeah. She sells
only 12 grand.
Kids, babies, families, dogs, and whenever she does any kind of a promotion, her sales are off the charts.
Well, didn't she do the dog days and she did like 40,000 that weekend or something like that?
And she's quite open about it and how she does it. And but my point is that's something to consider if if I were you, I'd say, well, why don't I do these similar? Where's a really good spot, not too far from where you live? Say, here's a good spot. It's really nice here on later in the day. Who's willing to come for a family portrait?
I've done similar things where I have like kind of like a day where I'm going to be up where we are. There's a place called Mount Charleston, about an hour from the Strip, 45 minutes from the Strip, and so it's usually about 25, 30 degrees cooler up there than down here. So in July, I usually put a promo saying, "Hey, here's my Mount Charleston days," but I want to make it more fun and more personalized now. I want it to be more, just a little different as opposed to just like, here's my offer. I want it to be just like get them like interacting with someone else. I even had an idea once of saying, like picking some strange location, like off the side of the road somewhere and photographing someone at it. And then saying, if you can guess correctly where this was photographed, then you get XYZ, or
I love it.
Here's the prize. I've thought about doing things like that as well.
I love it. But, that's an amazing idea.
But or even let's see here. If I can share my screen in a second.
Sure, go for it.
There's I did this family the other day. 1 second here. I'm going to open up and capture one here really quick before I share my screen. So this is an area just a few miles from the road. Not far for most people here in town. Let me share my screen 1 second here. So sorry, guys. Please forgive me.
Never be sorry.
When you said a few miles from the road, what did you mean by that?
Oh, like it's right off the highway. So maybe 5 miles west of the highway. So very easy to get to.
Right.
It has a parking lot right next to it.
Nice.
But all of a sudden you're in the middle of nowhere. You're. So we have.
That's gorgeous.
I wanted to photograph something here because this isn't too far, but there's an elevation gain, and so the temperature decreases. I'd like to do something here. Like photograph, like make a special for just this spot that shows the hills, shows the mountains, shows the desert. To kind of make it kind of a more of an event, I suppose. But like I said earlier, I have the hardest time making things like crafting promotions and specials to be appealing. I find it's not my strength for some reason.
Well, you got some really good ideas, though.
Definitely.
And, we've done my wife and I have done family portrait by the falls, $97. Same formula for Fairy Day, $97, and you get one print. Everybody buys more. But that area you just showed us, I'm gonna guess that you are limited as to the amount of time you couldn't shoot all day, right? Have to be at sunset.
That was in the morning time. So actually, I'm facing the camera's facing south there, so I could be there for quite some time. Actually,
okay.
There are good views from multiple perspectives there, so I wouldn't be too limited by that. Thanks to off-camera flash. And
as long as it's not too hot, you are in Vegas there. So
yeah, I worry less about heat there and more wind. The wind is the killer here. It's really windy here in the desert. So
yeah, John's not worried about the wind because he's aerodynamic.
Yes,
I cut right through it, no problem. See, I'm thinking of doing the same thing as Rob with the falls, but I have this nice, good Victorian red chair, and I'm thinking of taking it to one of our areas here that has the river with the rapids, and it has the rocks and everything, and I'm do red chair in the rapids sessions or something.
Oh, fun! See, I envy locations like this because, to me, the desert's boring because I live here. But you guys probably aren't used to the desert, so you probably look at that location I just brought up the screen and be like, that might be kind of fun to do something there. For me, I'm like, more yucca, more plants. It's like, let's find another view of a mountain, I guess. It's like right. I envy like the greenery and the actual nature seasons, things like that.
We're getting ready for fall soon. In about another month, all the leaves will be changing, and it'll be fall here.
And I'll be wearing shorts till Christmas, so it's
John does the, often it's very popular, the Christmas event. So that's very popular for you, John.
It did well. I did it last year based off his fairy portrait. So I did $95. You get the one print, the one 8x10 with it, and they always buy more, like you said. And for the first one, it was very successful. We had about 15 families come, and they all bought more. So this year, I've been mentioning it. Actually, Rob's fairy portrait day, in the last 2 weeks, we've been getting all the things that everybody ordered to our studio, and the clients now have to come here and pick it up. And as they do, we get them their stuff. I say, I hope you're happy with everything, and they're all gushing about how good Rob was and how awesome Tina was, and the portraits are awesome.
You're like, what about me?
Well, I have my Christmas stuff out on display right there as they're going by. And I'm like, oh, by the way, in November, we're getting ready to do our Christmas special. Same products kind of that he's using, and here's what they look like from last year. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. No, I'll watch your page. I'm probably going to do it. So I might get some of the fairy people now coming to do it. So my goal is to get maybe between 20 and 30 this year. So
that's fantastic. And I love the idea of the fairy day, because to me, in my mind, it's you're standing out from everyone else. Like lots of people photograph people, in an alleyway or by this beautiful river or whatever it might be. But, very few people do the fairy day like you guys do it. And I think that's probably one thing that's attributed to its success over the years, I imagine. And what I'm thinking, like that location I just brought up there in the desert is, while there's lots of desert that people go to here, oftentimes, they don't know all nice areas. They go to the same spots they've seen everyone else go. So like we have a dry lake bed, for instance, out, and out by the dam, by Hoover Dam. There's not far from there is a big, huge open area of desert. It's views of the mountains, and it's like the most boring place ever to take photos of, but people love to go there. It's just flat. It's just it's like mountains, flat dirt, and the sun in your face, and the wind blowing your stuff over. It's awful. But people go there all the time because they see everyone else go there. Okay. Or, so to me, like picking a location that's different, like that one I just showed, that'd be one that people go, I don't know where that is. That looks really cool. It looks really pretty, even though it's still just desert. So, but just trying to stand out as best I can.
I hear you. That's, you want to be different because everyone's doing the same thing, and you don't want to be too cliche. Yeah. Fairies. I'm a big advocate for fairies. If all I could do were fairies the rest of my life, I would make a lot of money and I'd be very happy with it.
One thing I was wondering, just on your decision to do everything on location, where not having your own studio, was that consciously done, or is it just something that just happened over time? Or
it's part just because it's worked for me not having one. And so there's that fear of getting one, I think, is just I realize I'd probably make more if I had one, but there's that risk, and it's hard for me to get over that fear, I find. And also I've seen so many studios pop up and go away, and go away.
It's very true.
There may be in our town maybe 2 or 3 that are still around that
really.
Because,
I'm the only brick and mortar one in my area.
Yeah, and that would make me stand out, but then I just don't have the confidence to say, oh, everyone would come to me then, And so it kind of scares me. So the fact that I'm able to make my living how I like, going on location, then I'm like, why change it? That's kind of how
it's working. So there's only that few photographer studios in Las Vegas?
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of photographers, but very few good ones here in town. And I'm not trying to toot my horn. Like, I'm pretty solid. I'm pretty good.
Right.
But I would never call myself the best ever at anything. But there are a lot of people that do it on the side. Families I found really hard to photograph. Get the clientele, because people are getting so used to paying a flat rate to get everything. As you know.
Yep.
They say, how much do you charge for family photos? It's like, well, it depends on what you buy. It's like, you might spend this much, you might spend that much. So they're expecting, pardon me, $200 gets you everything. And, we go out, the photographer spent 19 hours with us and all that kind of stuff. But
they're shooting burners, $200, and here's a thumb drive with all your images.
Yeah, and I understand how that'd be very appealing for most people. Like, so I try my best to try and show a difference in,
Yeah, but it's mostly crap. Here's what I'm just thinking out loud here. I have made 2 8-page catalogs, one for fairies and one for weddings and pop-up weddings. You have Vistaprint, right? That's in America. It's in the U.S. as well as Canada. I went to Vistaprint, so you get the best price. It seems that printing costs have dropped in the last 20 years. So here, I would pick your top locations and get a beautiful vertical or a couple of horizontal images and do an 8-page, 5.5 by 8 inches, full color, and of course put in there all the reasons why you're the best, and call yourself, we specialize in the location photography. That's our thing. No excuses. And then I'd also, besides showing some amazing samples, think about all the objections they have, especially tie it into how they go to shooting burners, and weave that into your narrative, right into this 8-pager. Now, I use this 8-pager as a guide when I'm talking to people, and I hand it to them right in their hands. So And if so, somebody
you printed a lot of them then.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
Oh,
We're
cool.
constantly running out, and Tina's like, "We got to print more," and I'm like, "I'm going to raise the prices." in the
Are
next run."
these are hardcover books or they're cards? I'm sorry.
Hold on, I'll show you.
My apologies
they're great because they're like the half a size of paper. They're like about this size. And because I have one in the back there of his, it's for the fairy portraits. Because when he was here, he had the price list here and that. But it's great because you just like you said, you open up. I did for mine. They were the 3 accordion style type, 3-page accordion style, or 6-page, I guess it would be, because you have the back and the front, and it just folds into accordion, and it's like as thin as like your cell phone here.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like 8 by whatever that strip is, and you can.
I like that idea a lot.
And I did that for my Christmas portraits in that, and
wow.
When he comes back and shows you that one, I'll go grab mine quickly and just show you how I'm doing for the Christmas one, because it does make a difference, because everybody else just advertises on Facebook and that. But if you have something tangible to hand to them to take home and say, here's what you can go. So we do our Christmas thing like over the Saturday, Sunday. And when they leave, we book their time for when they're going to come for their viewing session, and we hand them one of those price lists to take home with them so they can study it. So there's no surprises when they come back. And then when they come back, they kind of have an idea of what they were thinking of ordering. 9 out of 10 times they end up ordering more than they wanted, because they get here and they see the proofs. And it's like, well, I was going to come and buy these four things, but now I want this picture, that picture, and this picture, and I got to figure out how to do it, and it's awesome. So I agree with them on that.
That's a great idea, because when I showed you that that pediatric dentist office, that little headshot, at the beginning of our conversation, I wanted to also talk to them about doing something with them, photographing his family, displaying it at his office, and putting something out for. I was thinking like a press printed book for them to flip through, but this sounds better to me, like faster, and they can easily carry it and take it home with them. Which, if they were to allow me to put it in there. Rob, you're back.
I am back. So I used to do it 8.5 by 11. So this is my wedding guide, and must-have shots. It's like a magazine, and like literally, like I don't know if you could see that.
I can.
There's like an index. I talk about the engagement session, and then I talk about what we can catch on your big days. So I talk about my philosophy, my style, right? So all the stuff I would normally say in person, I use this as a guide so I don't forget.
You're a fantastic writer, by the way.
Well, thank you. But writing's really easy. Just imagine yourself at the kitchen table. You're talking to your ideal client, and what would you say?
Not easy.
Tips and it is easy. We just all have these mental blocks. I mean, if you can talk, and John, I know you're really good at talking.
Not me.
Yes,
I'm shy.
And all you got to do is talk. We've got you covered. So I've got everything. I'm thinking, okay, what are they going to ask? What are the objections? Objections are gold. I think of any objections and you preemptively address them. And then I got the last page is all testimonials from actual weddings and FAQ. Okay. Now, in the end, see, I got this like, thank you. I've taken all that and I've converted it to a 5.5 by 11.
I can fit in a purse. That's easy to grab. That's cool.
So same idea. This is my most recent one. I had this one made last year. Lots of samples. So when they come and sit and talk to me, I say, well, let me tell you about my philosophy. There's me, right? There's my philosophy and a whole bunch of samples. I got a picture of my wife and I. There's me at John. I don't know if that's John's studio. No, that's not. Doing a fairy. I'm talking to a little fairy girl and me and my daughter. So show lots of family pictures. Engagement session, albums, blah, blah, blah. And here we got a whole dedication to our pop-up weddings, which is called Pink Door Weddings.
That's cool.
And I got the same thing for fairies. John, you've seen these.
Yep, I was just telling them about it.
All our clients get that. So if you have the ability to communicate preemptively why they should come to you versus the point and shooter, most people don't know. No. We got to tell them, man. We got to express that. There's a big difference. We just booked a wedding 2 days ago, and the reason they came to us was they had an engagement session done, a burner, shoot and burner, and they were so disappointed. They said, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this for our wedding day. They called us up, and bada boom, bada bing, paid the deposit, and for next year or so. I think it's there's a valid and legit opportunity for all of us to use as part of our sales message and our philosophy behind why we are different.
Yeah. I'm going to be going to that little booklet eventually for mine, but what I did for Christmas temporarily, because we were in a quick one, is I just did the little trifolds.
Yeah.
So we had here the little mini session. You open it up, it's got a sample of the plaque that's there.
But that's
It's
a
got
price
the whole
list.
price list. This is the whole price list, and then on the back, it's even got a
This is
sample. This was just a quick thing we did.
That's a price list.
So,
this is
yeah.
this is not a price list.
No.
This is a sales letter.
Yeah.
This is
I
a
love
sales letter.
I love what you say, Rob, about addressing their objections preemptively, because I think what I tend to do is try to explain and show why I'm different, and that's why they should hire me. But I think I'm realizing now, I think a big weakness I have is I'm not addressing their concerns that they might have when they eventually talk to me, and so I need to work on that. That was excellent.
Well, there's opportunities there, and I think that's the heart of marketing, is being able to address that stuff. And objections are nothing but opportunities, and we can mine those. That's pure gold.
And if I'm not mistaken, that little booklet you have, don't you have that on your website too? That if they can't come physically to get one, you can send them
that's a
send it to them
PDF.
online.
So yeah.
I'd like to make one for light paintings, because I eventually I want to have on my, when I get around to ever redesigning my website, because unfortunately my web designer passed away, so so I have to do this myself at some point, or find somebody.
Squarespace.
I want to just mention that before you get into light painting, but talk to John. John did his entire website using Squarespace.
Did you?
Easy.
I did.
Easy, and it's like I'm like thinking, oh, maybe I should go there. I do all my own in WordPress, but I'm like,
Yeah.
so I've been picking John's brains, and
Squarespace is probably great.
his website is amazing. I normally would not be intrigued by Squarespace, but
I used PhotoBiz for my headshot website, and then my senior website and my family and my main website are just standard. So I want to convert my main one into a WordPress site, but I want to add a light painting section to my main website so people can see that it's something that can be done. But I think that the most success I'm going to have actually selling them is going to be actually speaking to people. Like for instance, these people that own the golf club, they have lots of Lamborghinis. I've seen them.
That's your clientele right there.
Like my house is like half a garage for these people. So it's if I had one of those booklets like what you guys are showing me, like that would be great. Like, hey, by the way, like I saw that beautiful car you have. I do these really cool, artistic images of blah blah blah, and hand them this thing and look this over and check out my site and let's do something fun. I'll follow up with you.
Have you got a pretty good portfolio of those?
A decent one. You want to see it?
Yeah,
Go for it.
I have one picture I've done light painting a la John Hartman, and I think that there's especially where you are, there's a valid market for that, man.
Oh yeah, I haven't done too many in a while. I want to give it another whirl, but I get busy with other things, and it's always been something that I hoped would take off, but always knew like it wouldn't be as big as families, things like that. And okay, so you guys can see my screen, I think. So let me see. Oops.
Not yet.
No, I'll bring it in for you. There you go.
There we go. Nice.
So there's there. So that's obviously a Tesla. Let's see here. I have this guy with his bike. These are all PSD files, so I hope they're loading quick enough for you guys to see.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Instant.
Is that. This was my minivan when I was out camping.
Nice.
So are you just using speed lights for the light painting, or?
No, these are all LED flashlights. Sometimes the light on my phone, a little light wand thing, like those little lightsaber looking things.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter as long as you color balance it. You can use whatever light you like. This guy
Light
here,
is light.
exactly.
All right.
So
you got a good
there.
selection there.
Yeah, really good.
This train was a lot of work. This one was the biggest one, I think.
No
This is about 100 photos mixed together, I think.
Wow.
This one was hard. I put a light on a big paint pole to get that little edge light at the top there and walk it all the way down. And
It's a lot of work. There's an architectural guy in the States there. He did a thing on F-stoppers where he does light painting for the outdoors of these multi-million-dollar homes, and he'll take many and then sit there and just combine them together.
This one here, I still think you can see my screen. This one's I've made some money photographing these private schools and displaying them all around their conference room as big 20 by 24 metals. So this one I used a big flash and just pop, 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 pop,
Pop,
pop,
pop,
all along
pop.
the side of the buildings, and then lighting some trees and things, and
Are you with an assistant when you're doing these?
No. So this one, it's I'll use my phone as a way to see what I'm doing. But if I'm too far away, like on that one of that school, I just put it on an interval timer. So I'll say take 20 photos every 8 seconds.
Oh,
And then I'll have
smart.
hey, thanks.
You'll just walk around.
And so I'll have my light on a stand. It's got like a transmitter on top that fires my light, and then that way I know it's actually taking a photograph.
Yep.
So
It's a
pop,
flash.
then I move, pop, then I move, pop.
That's smart.
And then I might go back on my phone and reset the timer and do a few more. So,
That's really cool.
that's how I like to do it if I'm doing something big where it's a little out of the range of the
All right.
Wi-Fi phone.
I think you should do one, and they're not that expensive. Put in.
Yeah,
a
I
lot
love that
of-
idea.
They're a lot of time, but and you hand those to those guys and say, "Look,
Yeah.
let's get a one of a kind light painting of your Lamborghini." It's a vanity thing, These guys
Yeah.
love this stuff, and they got lots of
Yeah.
money. And they want to spend it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They want to spend it, and if it's something they value, and it's art.
It's something different too. Like no one does light paintings in Vegas. Like, there are a few that do it for real estate and they make it look really nice, but they're not trying to do it of cars and collectibles and things that people would want to buy and display, at their office or their home. Or
I've had a webinar a couple of years ago with John Hartman. You're obviously who John.
he's the
Hartman
man. He's awesome.
Yeah. He does light paintings, and it's in the forum. I should throw it in the Facebook group. It's really, really good. He explains it in a nutshell. I mean, a lot of people go take his weekend course 2 days to really master it, but the idea is there, and it's pretty solid. So I think we got to let you go, and because we're a little over an hour now. So I really
thank you for
appreciate
having me, guys. It was fun for me. I appreciate your time.
No,
No,
we were glad to have you.
So we always like to ask a few quirky, quick questions before we're done. So what's your favorite
Sure.
movie?
Favorite movie. You asked me that last time. I said
Yeah,
I like goofy
and-
things. Hot
yeah.
Shots Part 2, Naked
Yeah,
Gun.
you
2
said
and a
that
half.
before, yeah.
That was really fun.
I
But
think you
also
said
like-
Predator too, didn't you?
Predators for action movies, that and Die Hard, and
All right.
more serious movies. Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List.
Nice.
Those are up there. And
Dark, brooding World War II movies.
I go from really goofy to extremely serious
Yeah.
and nihilistic.
Full Metal Jacket's a really good movie for
That's a good movie.
army
That's
stuff.
excellent
Yeah.
movie. Oh yeah, excellent movie.
So I obviously asked you that question. Well, John, do you have a question that's sort of unexpected and
Unexpected. No, I
Yeah.
wasn't even. He just put me on the spot. No.
well, think about that. I'll ask him one question.
What's
and
the last thing you bought at the grocery store?
Color of your underwear.
Yeah.
Okay, you're on a deserted island. You're got one CD. What CD is that going to be?
Oh, let's see here. One CD. Who uses CDs anymore, Rob?
Well, that's the idea, right? Okay.
I should be able to have my entire music collection on this island at this point.
One song.
The one
Spotify.
album. I'd probably say Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I love the answer.
Oh, give it a listen. The fourth.
You'll have
movement's
to hum
there.
it.
The ninth. Is that dun, 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 dun.
That's the fifth. No,
Okay.
so it's like Ode to Joy, like da na 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 na.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I know that one.
That's that one. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Beautiful.
out of all the stuff that you do, because of course you love your commercial and your headshots, you love your light paint. If there was only one type of photography you could do that you'd make a great living at, you can be comfortable, but you can only choose one, what would it be?
Senior portraits. High school
Senior
seniors.
portraits.
Mhm. They're the most fun. So I do photograph quite a few seniors every year, and they're the most fun because you can do so much variety. They're usually down for any ideas you have. They don't complain unless they're mad at their mom. I don't want to be here, Mom. Oh no. So they're usually down for whatever, and if you make them look good and get them excited, then it's fun to see that. And plus you get to photograph someone that looks good and they're young and prime of their lives, that kind of stuff. And,
So that's usually me with the family portraits. I always had them put me, if I was at a trade show, put me where all the women go, because no guy, don't put me with the power tool companies now, because no guy's going to come hire me for family portraits.
Exactly,
Usually the mother hires you and then drags the kids and the husband to the shoot.
Although I could have said I could do like self-portrait nudes, John. NatesNudes.com will be up soon.
No, a senior was good because I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting your light painting or your headshots or something. So that was good.
Yeah, me too.
Oh no, those are fun, but seniors are the best. I think seniors are my most beloved genre.
Cool. All right, well, we'll wrap it up. Let you get back on your day, and I appreciate you coming here. Maybe we'll get you back in 3 years. See how.
Yeah,
3
3. I might have a mustache at some point. It'll grow.
Hopefully, we'll be still here in 3 years. We might be locked down still. You never know.
Oh my gosh, I hope not. Dang. I hope you guys get back soon. Jeez.
Anything's possible. So I appreciate you coming on, and
Thank you.
I'm going to mail you. I'm going to email you my Falls promotion at the Falls and the Maria Sampaio replay and my Montessori literature file, so you could see.
Thank you.
It might help you. I don't know. I'll just send it to you. I got it on my list here.
And keep coming on the Wednesdays at 1 o'clock our time, which I don't know what that is. You're what, 2 hours behind us? It's about 2:20 here.
10 a.m. is 1 o'clock for you.
So
guys,
we do it 1 o'clock Eastern every week, and I think we got Maria coming on sometime soon in the next
enough.
few weeks.
That'd be fun. I'll be there. This has been great. I really appreciate both of you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you
right.
soon. Take
See you
care.
later.
Thanks, guys.